Hi, this is Bryan Rich from Money and Markets TV. In 2008, the failure of Lehman Brothers nearly brought down the global financial system. And it was only through unprecedented government bailouts, backstops, and policy responses that a total collapse was averted. These efforts bought us some time, nearly 2.5 years so far, but time hasn't healed the wounds. In fact, government responses have only transferred private debt into public debt. And that's why the global economy isn't recovering. It's only catching a breath before the next wave hits. And that wave has been emanating all along from Europe. And it promises to be the main event. And we have a good idea of how it will play out. Harvard professor Kenneth Rogoff observed that financial crises tend to be followed by widespread sovereign debt defaults. And in this case, this likely outcome is a huge threat to the global financial system and the global economy. The chief economist of the European Central Bank, Jürgen Stark, agrees. He said that even a debt restructuring in the eurozone would result in a banking crisis that would be worse than the Lehman crisis. And it's only a matter of time before that happens. Even after the problems in the PIGS countries, Portugal, Ireland, Greece, and Spain, even after the problems in those countries were exposed early last year, European banks have done little to reduce their exposure to the sovereign debt of those countries. It seems that global investors are finally waking up to the implications of that fact. In recent weeks, the global focus has shifted, beginning with the breakdown in the commodities run. Then a German online magazine suggested that Greece was contemplating pulling out of the euro and readopting its own currency and devaluing its way out of debt. The next day, an Irish economist made the case for his country's departure from the euro and said that that was the only way for Ireland to survive. Now, with those threats on the table, European officials are now considering the only option left to keep the patients breathing, and that is relaxing the conditions of their rescue loans. But this is where it gets even more dangerous. Such a move would prove once and for all who's in the real position of strength in the eurozone crisis. Not the strong countries like Germany, but the weak ones. If you owe the bank $1,000, you have a problem. If you owe the bank $160 billion, the bank has a problem. And given the exposure of German and French banks to the PIGS debt, these countries made a decision last June to offer rescue funds to Greece in order to keep the eurozone together. Ireland needed a bailout shortly after that, and Portugal has recently asked for one. But it's clear that this strategy just postpones the ultimate outcome, and that the EU doesn't really have a plan for solving the problem. That's because the problem lies not with the individual eurozone countries, but with the fact that they all share the same currency. And legendary economist Milton Friedman saw this clearly when the euro was adopted nearly 12 years ago. He said that a one-size-fits-all monetary policy doesn't give the member countries the flexibility needed to stimulate their economies. He also said that fractured fiscal policy, forced to adhere to the rigid EU rules, doesn't enable the member countries to navigate their own specific problems. And he said ultimately that nationalism will emerge, that healthier countries will not see fit to spend their hard-earned money to bail out their less responsible neighbors. Finally, he noted that in perilous times, countries can normally devalue their currencies in order to pay off their debts more easily. But a common currency takes that tool away from them. And for these reasons, Friedman predicted that the euro would fail within a decade. And it seems that he may not have been too far off with that. So with the world teetering on the edge of another global financial crisis, you'd be wise to, at this stage, play defense, not offense, with your investments. I'm Bryan Rich from Money and Markets TV. Thanks for watching.